Welcome to Enrichment of Mind, Body, and Soul. How are you guys doing?
Great,
Excellent.
great. Hey, I like that opening. That's really good. That's good. That is good.
You know how we do it well.
I do now. Yes, I do.
You do.
This is like traveling the yellow brick road. You never know what you're going to see.
True. True.
Oh my God. It's such a pleasure to be here every Sunday, and to bring enrichment, to bring value to this space, and
Right.
to help to empower. It's all about empowerment and
Absolutely.
giving you tools that you can use and work and to help yourself that if you're feeling stuck, if you're not feeling that inspired or you're not feeling motivated, once you join this podcast, we can guarantee you when you leave this space, you're going to be motivated.
Absolutely.
You're going to be motivated that you can take inspired action and you can start to move forward with your life. And I hope that you continue to do your journaling. I hope you're finding the time to pause and do some self-reflection because it's very important that we really take those time off. If you got to take time off from social media, just do it.
Yes.
Do it for you. You're not doing it for anybody else but you. Because many times we are so clouded with so much information we are absorbing every single day. We need to take that break and really, say to ourselves, you know what, this time is for me. This time is that this time that I'm taking, it's for myself. I can able to do some introspection, see the things that I need to get rid of out of my life and the things that I need to harness and to move forward with my life in a different direction. So this evening, we got a very interesting topic. The topic is breaking free from limited beliefs and complacency and adding value. So many times you find as I said, just so many times we are there, we're just sitting, we're not moving. We are meant to move. We are an energy and we are meant to move. And when you sit there and you're not moving, there is so many thoughts start to creep up. So many thoughts. And this evening, we're going to discuss some strategies, how you can move forward from that point. If you're at that point right now feeling stuck, we're going to discuss some strategies, how you can move forward. Also, self-limiting beliefs, because many times that is holding us back from moving. Many times we hold on to these beliefs and many times it's not serving us well. It's not working for us. How can someone move forward from that point and to move into a direction that is going to propel you forward and to help you to live a fulfilled life? So we're going to discuss so many things this evening. We want you to stick around, share us out to a friend who can benefit from this podcast this evening, because we will really appreciate that as well. And don't forget to subscribe to Soul Light and Body, because as you know, we always bring you some good food.
Right.
Some good food we serve you with every single week. So don't forget to subscribe and share us out. Like us so you can always get a notification when we are present online. And we got some good stuff coming up. We also got our masterclass, which is coming up shortly. As the weeks go by, we're going to continue to share some information as we get closer. And you can also be a part of that masterclass. It's life-changing. It's transformative. It's packed with a lot of good stuff. You're going to walk away feeling inspired, feeling motivated. It's so much. It's so much. Right, Will?
That's right. The only way you know how to do it. The only way.
Thank you for being here, Will. It's always a pleasure to have you in this space because when you come here, you always enrich this space.
I
You always
appreciate
add
that.
value,
I appreciate
and
it.
we want to thank you so much for taking the time because we know you got a busy schedule.
Yeah.
But you know what? Whenever we ask you to show up in this place, you're always
Yeah.
ready. You always say yes. And we really appreciate that.
I thank you very much for asking me too. I appreciate it.
So I'm now going to toss the mic now to Lady J. Lady J, take the mic. Thank you so much for being here as well. Thank you.
Exactly.
Wow. Great opening as always.
Yes. I agree
You
with you
gotta top
there.
that off. You
She's
gotta top
good.
that off.
She is good. She's good.
Time is moving by so quickly, and we are in April. Where are you and your goals, your dreams, and everything that you commenced 2025 with? Where are you at this point? How are you navigating? You might have been through some setbacks, some failures, some no's, some rejection. What courage are you taking in this moment to step forward? Because those rejections, those failures, those no, those no's, those setbacks, it's just a way for you to pause and redirect. Give it a second look of what is it that you are aspiring for, and go after it. Today we want to ask you, what are some of your routines, your morning routines and your nightly routines? How are you moving through your day? How are you setting that tone so that you can navigate at ease during the course of the day effortlessly, regardless whatever step in those moments throughout the day? Are you pausing? Are you showing yourself gratitude? Or are you reminding yourself during the course of the day as you pause, look how far I've come. Look at all the things that I overcame, the hard moments, the tough moments, the tears, the moments that I feel like giving up. But we want to say congratulations to you. You've pushed past that. You've pushed past those fear. You've taken bold moves to propel you forward. Celebrate that. The wins, big or small. Because you work hard for this moment. So that is why it's so essential for you to pause and harness, feel that level of joy, feel the level of happiness, and celebrate the people who've helped you to get in that space in that moment. Are you showing yourself compassion and grace? Or are you just being hard on yourself? What is your inner dialogue? What do you tell yourself on a daily basis? Are you leaning into your inner wisdom? Are you leaning into your inner being? What are your I ams on a daily basis? That's super important. What are your I ams? Just sit with that for a minute. What are your I ams on a daily basis? Because it's so essential for us to reinforce who we are, self awareness, self discovery, so that we can stand strong, center, and balance. Are you practicing self care, which is so essential? Because you cannot serve from an empty cup. Your cup has got to be filled so you can serve and serve well. Because you want, when you show up in spaces, you want to come with that level of power. You want to come with your presence so that you can remember it for that moment. Because it's so essential. People remember how you make them feel. What kind of level of energy is exchanged in that moment? Whether it's a group, whether it's one on one, what it is that you inspire people, you motivate them, you uplift them, and you help them to experience a level of transformation after they leave the space, the group, one on one, conversation over the phone, whatever it is. But what level of energy do you exchange that you can inspire somebody, that somebody can say, I enjoyed that conversation, it was a good one. I feel good about it. And it inspired me to move forward and take inspired action so that I can better myself, who I am. How do you move in life in that? We always want to ask you to nourish and nurture yourself. Super important. Because for us to attain everything that we aspire for in life, all our goals, every single thing we're looking for, nourish and nurture is important. It's essential. You eat the right kind of food so you nourish yourself. But that's not the only nourish that you have to nourish. We have to move in the level of alignment, physical activity, our spirituality, whatever that may be for you.
Exactly.
Your creativity, are you bringing that out? Are you sparking a level of creativity that get you excited, joyous? Are you making sure that you're learning new skills that will separate you and set you apart? Because as we're going to talk more in our conversation with Well, things are moving so fast with AI and technology and science and every single thing. We gotta uplift, we gotta level up so that we can stay in the game strong, empowered, and well. So tonight, just know that you are special, you are amazing, and you are capable. So tap in to your inner self. My name is Lady J, holistic, certified holistic health and wellness coach, and quite a lot of things. But tonight, we want to just say that we have got a great guest tonight. He's truly amazing friend, collaborator, and all of the good stuff that we do together that we bring great information, inspire you so that you can move forward life empowered, fulfilled, and be inspired. So sit back, relax, and let's enjoy these 2 hours with Well. Well, thank you for being here. It's always great to share space with you because you always enrich us. You serve us well all the time.
I thank you for that introduction. And it always is a pleasure to be on the same show with you guys. I mean, as you just said there, we collaborate, so we're always together some type of way on these shows. But it's something unique that we have, so it's good to share it with the world, basically. Though, let everybody kind of get in on how we feel about each other, and so they can share that.
It's
So
beautiful.
yeah, a lot of times people, our subject tonight is broad, but people have different aspects of that they have to deal with on a daily basis, and
Sure.
sometimes they don't figure out how to work through it. Uh, like the introduction for value, for instance, people sometimes get lost in how do they equate value.
Sure.
What is my self-worth, and then how do I
Right.
share that with other people so they can see
Right.
my worth too. So people sort of get lost in there, and so they'll retract when they start overthinking it. Basically, it's what I'm saying. They'll
Mhm.
retract because they don't think that they should put all of them out there because they say, okay, I'm overvaluing myself, and then they'll be saying I'm uppity,
Right.
some other kind of negative, connotation with that, and so I don't want to deal with that. So they'll pull back and try to hide. And when they do that, it comes to the second part of this thing that we're going to be discussing: limiting beliefs. You
Mhm.
you you can't achieve anything in this lifetime that you're going to be here in this time without believing some type of way. You have to be able to push through your own self-doubt into I believe I can. And then if you
Right.
if you accept that, all you have to do is start moving forward and everything will start to come and play itself out. Uh, we talk about earth, wind, fire, water as being the elements of the universe. Now, what science is starting to figure out is that air is something that's everywhere at all times. It's omnipresent and it's invisible. You don't see it, but it's there. And in the Bible, they talk about, the wind over the seas and that kind of thing with Jesus walking on the water and that kind of stuff. But they figured out to a degree that consciousness is within the structure of wind. And so everybody, see, this is something that's going to change the whole complexity of what we've been doing as far as our lives go in consciousness, understanding this, because that's the one thing that you take for granted. You breathe in like we're talking right now, we're breathing in air, but we don't think that it's anything to it except it's just part of the universe. But it's actually far more than that because ideas like, you mentioned, Lady J, something about like when you speak, whatever you speak out there, it goes somewhere. It doesn't just stay with you. Once you let it out, it's out into the universe. And so what can carry that idea that whatever you speak everywhere? Air. It's so once you speak it, somebody next to you may not get the concept, but somebody on the other side of the world may all of a sudden have that, moment where that little light bulb goes off. And it's coming from somebody speaking something long ago or currently. Those ideas are just floating around through the earth, through space, because they now know that consciousness is everywhere. So it's never gone, to where you can't access it. Now, in order to take advantage of this, so to speak, you have to have some type of a faith or belief. Now, those, we talk about this all the time on this show. Those are two totally different things. Faith is something that people, take into the religious aspect, where you don't have any proof that anything is happening or did happen or is happening, but you some type of way accept that it's possible. With belief, somebody somewhere has done whatever it is that you believe before. And so you can pull from that, because that can be repeated. You can repeat that. And so that's where people sort of get lost at. And that's where they start limiting themselves, thinking that, okay, I can't possibly, do what I think I'm capable of, because I have some self-doubt there too. Now, as we mentioned the last time I was on the show, we were talking about, speaking to the subconscious. That's your subconscious mind, which is always in a doubt, position. It's always, well, you're not strong enough. You're not fast. You can't do this. You don't have all the tools you need. You ladies mention toolbox all the time. And so it constantly is bringing up the negative aspects of, you can't, there's no way you can't possibly, no, not you. So it's always reinforcing that it's not you, but it is you. And so once you take the steps forward, you'll start to see that I just mentioned, consciousness is everywhere. People, and we talked about this on the last time we were together too, people in doorways and opportunities will gradually start to come to you. As you keep moving forward and you build that belief system up, those things will start to lay themselves out in front of you, and you won't believe that it's happening, but you're like, okay, how did that get here? That's why it's like that, because now you're walking on a belief system that, yes, I can. You don't doubt it. And so once you accept that part of it, you're not going to be, the last part of this conversation tonight, complacent. Now, a lot of times people don't really mean to be complacent, and like a procrastinator, for instance, they are starting to break ground on finding out why people are like that. And so what they're realizing is that a lot of times it's something that's engraved in you from childhood, birth, baby. And so it's a little tiny voice that tells you don't, you can't, why, it asks you questions that you can't answer at that time. And so you keep those stored away in your subconscious. And as you start to grow up, those little voices speak to you. And so you don't really want to procrastinate about something, but that limiting belief system and that doubt creeps in and tells you, why do we need to try that? That's going to be a failure. People are going to laugh at us. And then my feelings are going to be hurt. My ego is going to be bruised. So I don't even want to, try that. And so then you cut yourself off. You accept that this is as far as I can go with this. And I'll just, as people like to say, pray about it. Now, when you just pray about something, you're not going to make it happen for you, because you're praying for something that's outside of you that you're going to have to contribute to in order for it to happen. And so a lot of times people get crossed up on, I'm just going to pray about it and see, Lord, it's all in time. But that's not the way things work. If you read, and I bring this up a lot because people always want to, run to the Bible and they kind of hide themselves behind the religion and say, well, God will do it for me in his time. No. The Bible tells you that you can manifest whatever it is that you desire, you can manifest it. It tells you that. But you don't want to read that for yourself and understand that. So you listen to what somebody else has said on a pulpit that tells you the only way you can do this is through this system. Now, when you limit yourself to a system, it's going to cut everything else off. You know, like in sports, for instance, like with my teams, I always try to tell the guys, look, the team is one thing, but in order for this to work, you have to work individually in order to make it all come together. So if you don't do your part, it doesn't matter about the system. The system itself is not structured to take down anybody. You have to do your part in order for it to work. And so once you buy into that your part is important to the system, now the system can look like it's one cohesive unit and work the way it's, you set it up to do so. And so that's where people get lost at, because they kind of don't trust themselves for the most part. And when you don't trust you, then who else is going to? I won't have a reason to. And so at that point, you basically lost. You can't build a community around you. And if you join a community, a lot of times what you find is people who do have just a little bit of confidence, they won't accept you. You'll sort of be in, but you won't be all the way in. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not fair to you either, but that's how people go. And even in the church setting, it's like that. There are cliques where you might belong to this little group over here, and then over there they'll speak to you and be cordial, but you're not part of their clique. And so everything sections off, even in the structure of a community. We're pushing right now as we go through this shift, community. Everything is about, hey, join a community and you find your support system. But see, you already know you already know that is not true. If you join a community, you have to bring something to the community.
Sure.
Because if they see you as just a member, you don't have full access to everything that's going on. They're going to feed you breadcrumbs while the good stuff is going on over at the full table where they got all the goodies at. You're not going to even know it exists. And so you have to grow some confidence and believe in yourself. I like to, and you ladies talk about this a lot. Even in your book, people, if they eat properly, they have a chance to live a long and prosperous life, okay, physically. Now, you say it all the time, y'all say this too, that it's just not about the food, though. And so that's what they have to understand, is just because you eat what we consider proper food, if you don't feed your mind, then you're still out of balance. You have to come to full alignment. And that takes you having some courage to do that. You have to have some courage. Setbacks are not the end of the world, and they're not the end of you. What's going to happen is you may have a setback, but Lady K has mentioned this on plenty of occasions. If you do have a setback, get up, dust yourself off, and start the journey again, and you will find your path, okay? All it means is that maybe that path that you decided to go down, there are weeds over there and you're not supposed to go that way. So you have blockage. So that means you have to come out and get back on that straight and narrow, and you'll find your way forward. And a lot of people don't do that, because once they get lost on the pathway and they take that left turn, so to speak, and they run into the weeds, they're like, well, I guess that's the end of the journey. That's it. And that's not. That's the beginning of it. And so this is something that we're mentioning now, that you can't speak into people. You can get them excited about it, but this is something you have to actually want yourself. It's bread. You have to want it.
Sure.
And so it's not going to be easy to do that. Nothing in this life is, and both you ladies cover this a lot, this is a hard life. It's difficult. It has all sort of hills, turns, and tricks to it, But once you understand who you really are and become aware, both of y'all mentioned this a whole lot too, then you can find your way. You're not lost anymore. We talked about this thing about that the 50-50 stuff that's going on in certain communities, where women are saying, well, I don't want to be with guys, I have to split 50-50 with, he should take care of me. And men are pushing back and saying, well, I don't want any woman, and all she is a gold digger, and I could do without that. But here's the thing. And they mention this as something of the table being set, what they'll bring to the table. Well, before you get to the table, the thing that's most important is the right person. If you got the right person,
I
You
think
don't,
somebody said something there.
you don't need a table. Yeah, if you get with the right person, you don't need a table. It's already set. It's ready to go. So your choices are what's causing the problem. If you own your own stuff and say it's me, then you're going to get eventually somebody's going to come cross your pathway who's going to, and everybody's a reflection of you in some sort of way. Okay. Everything is basically you to some degree, so bits and parts of you. And when you run across the one person that truly is your reflection, you will know it. And that's the person that you will then won't be talking about. You need, what you bring to the table and 50-50. You won't think about any of that junk there. That's junk, basically. And so people have to take a look at themselves and ask themselves, what is it that I'm actually looking for? And once they answer that question truly to themselves, the right person will cross their pathway. You can't, in this world, especially because of the amount of people that you're going to engage with and encounter over time. And there's people out there who are just like you. It's going to be a twin. I don't go to this twin flame and all that.
Flame.
But I mean,
soulmate.
Yeah, I mean in an energy sense that they're on the same frequency with you. And our frequency, to some degree is you interacting with another person or source that's equal to you. Mm-hmm. And you will know when that happens too. You will understand that that's basically you, right, just in a different form. You'll know it. And so that's where people sort of get lost at, even in their environment with work and home and so forth. A lot of times in the work environment, especially, you're talking about complacency. People get complacent at work because they don't want the extra drama that comes with it, so they say. But here's the thing. If your energy is good, you're not going to have many problems. Even when you have somebody that don't like you for whatever reason that they have, and that's their issue, you will be able to go to that person and ask them, what's the problem? Can we fix this? And once you do that, even if they don't agree to some type of way, meet you in the middle, you cleared the air. There's no negativeness coming from you, because then it's all pushed upon them to consider why they are acting that way. And they may still try to carry it on and act that way for a while, but they'll come to some point where they'll take a look at themselves and ask, what's wrong with me? They'll have to. Now they'll try to be in denial and say it's still not me, it's them. They think you are the one reflecting that. You think that they're that. You think they have something that you can't get, and that's not true either. You can get anything that you want, but you have to move forward to get that, and you can't have judgment upon somebody else. Saying that okay, they have it, but I don't. That doesn't mean that you can't get it. And in fact, if you are happy for them having it, it's a reflection on you, because remember, they are basically a reflection of you. So if they can get it, that means that you already have it. It's within you.
So true.
So
it's
true.
within you. You just have to understand it.
So true.
Karen, since you just said that, here's something that people get lost on in what we just said. They don't think that they can have it when they don't understand they already do.
True.
Once you accept that, your frequency raises, and then it becomes a material thing. It starts to materialize in front of you at that point. That's where the people come into play and doors start opening for you. It starts to become your reality. But you have to know that you already have what you desire. It's already there. You just can't see it. That's the spirit part of this whole thing.
True.
You just can't see it because you have you don't have enough of a high enough frequency to be able to draw it into you. All this stuff will come to you. We talked about this on the last show. We were talking about a little bit about energy. Anything that you desire in this world here, this world we're in, it's all material, right? But you can have whatever it is. It's not beyond your comprehension to understand it, first of all, and then for you to actually obtain it. It's going to take a little while for you to get to where you want to go, but you can get it. Now, I was talking to a person earlier today. They were talking to me about a $90,000 to $100,000 handbag, right? It's called the Hermes, I believe, is what it is. But that makes no sense to pay that kind of money for a handbag, and then it's supposed to some type of way elevate you above the people who are paying 3 to 5,000 for a bag? How does that doesn't make any sense? And so it's easy to sell people on things that they don't need to mislead them, and they get lost and caught in a trap of materialism instead of understanding that you're going to be far more happier, and you'll get some material things if that's what you desire, but you're going to be far happier if you understand yourself as a spirit first. Once you accept that you are that, all that other stuff, it'll come to you. But you don't really need that stuff to be happy. But people think that, okay, the more material goods I have, the happier I'm going to be. It's people that are trillionaires that are miserable. The family hates them. They're trying to kill each other off for the inheritance, all kinds of junk. And so that doesn't mean that because you have a high bank account that you all of a sudden a happy person. No. You're not going to be a happy camper just because you have a lot of money. It just can't work out for you that way. And so, people need to open themselves up to just, kind of find their spot instead of trying to live in somebody else's spot. Find your spot that makes you happy. And once you do that, you don't have judgment toward anybody. You're not jealous of them in any type of way. You're happy for everything that goes on around you. That's all you. That's all parts of you too. You just have to accept it. And even if you're in a bad situation right now, you won't stay there.
Sure.
You will not be in that situation forever. We have a lot of stories that talk about, well, I grew up this way. I was dirt poor, and I, didn't see a way forward. And now, look at me. You can get there if you believe that it's possible for you to get there. Even if you're not in an environment where you meeting the kind of people that you think you need to know in order to get there, eventually those people will come into your life and cross paths with you.
True.
Eventually, you just have to stay on your pathway forward. Now, a lot of times people get lost and they get sidetracked and start doing all this other stuff, and that's where they get trapped at. So you have to find your way forward by understanding that what you see right now is just part of the story. It's not the complete story. You get a chance to rewrite a new chapter if you just page. You just have to be able to turn the page. I wrote something on a post of about a week ago, and somebody was talking about life in general, right? And so I put on there that if Little Red Riding, if you wrote a book about Little Red Riding Hood at this point, she now is not afraid of the wolf because she sees the wolf as a sheep. She knows what she can do with the wolf. So the wolf is no threat to her anymore. So she can holler, jolly walk through the woods and not have any fear. And even if he befriends her, she already knows he's a wolf. So he has no chance of taking advantage of her in any type of way. And so a lot of times, people don't see that in themselves. And so they allow themselves to be taken advantage of like that because they just want that one person to see them for who they are. But as you Lady J and Lady K mentioned often, if you don't love you first, who else is going to?
Absolutely.
They how do they get there? If you don't love you, then how can I possibly give you honest love? I can't. There's no way for me to make you happy or love you enough to. If you don't love you, then you always are going to be in doubt that, am I worthy of this person? And so a lot of times that's why you have people that will get themselves in abusive situations and stay there because they go in already in that position. And then once they get around somebody, because they've attracted that type of energy to them, that person just finishes them off. He just drives. So then they can't ever find clarity, but they're kind of doing it to themselves though, so it's a tough life, but there are so much enriching opportunities in it that it's just endless as far as the limiting belief go. Yeah, there should be none. If you think that you can do it, you can do it.
True.
You can do it. I mean, the three of us on this show right now, talking to the world, and there's somebody who's watching this, and they may have just found this. They may have been strolling through and the algorithm say, hey, stop here. This might be something you might you should take a look at, And so they're hearing us talk about this particular, subject today, or any other ones that you guys have done shows on, or I've had a chance to be a part of, and they'll see themselves reflected in some of those words that were used on those shows or this show, and say, okay, somebody does kind of see me a little differently. Even though we're not talking to anybody directly in this show, we're talking to basically anybody that's paying attention to us. And so, but you never know, who you're talking to. There are people like I said before that are trillionaires or multi-billionaires, and they're not happy because they don't love them. They've acquired all this stuff. And here's the thing about money too, that we definitely need to cover this in the beliefs aspect of it. There are people who have obtained a whole lot of money, and they did it without having a whole lot of talent. Now,
Sure.
a lot of times what you're going to find, and I talk about this every chance I get when somebody asks me about some money, I talk to them about the billionaire class that have obtained all of this wealth. A lot of times, especially in our current time, this money is being made off of government contracts. They're not selling any more than you are selling until they get the big contract. Once they get that government contract, now they've got money they can burn through. So like right now, for instance, like the stock market is kind of all over the place. People are losing a lot of money. And if they can afford to lose, $1 million, $2 million, and it's, that's pocket change to them. So they're like, okay, I lost $1 million today. I'll get it back, a year from now or something. But for the average person who may have $300,000, which is a good nest egg, if you lose $80,000 of that nest egg now is not looking so good. And so you're starting to sweat a little bit because you're trying to figure out how can I sustain this until things turn around. And, we're just in a time where that is going to be a problem. And so you don't think that you can't become, if that's what your goal is, a billionaire. Don't think you can't do that. You can obtain that type of wealth if that's what your goal is. But I think life is far bigger than that, and you should just want to live life to its fullest and enjoy every moment of it that you can. Because as I always say, you can't take it with you. And this body doesn't need anything. When it leaves, your spirit is going somewhere else, and this body is going to stay behind and eventually go back to where it was, part of the universe. So it turns to dust. But you don't need that type of wealth in order to be happy. Happiness is going to come from you helping a little, somebody down the street, or maybe you're giving somebody a couple of bucks that need some at a corner or something. You can give, those little things that can make you happy. Like every time I go to a restaurant or a fast food place to eat something, I tip, right? And so sometimes I get questioned about what the amount that I give, why are you leaving that much? And I always say that, look, at some point, it's going to be returned to people that's connected to me. They may not know why somebody decided to do something for them like that, but it's because I'm creating karma that's going to travel.
So believe in that.
Yeah,
so believe in that.
The karma has bags. And so if you leave a trail, it finds its way to keep it going. Just like people believe in bad karma, good karma does the same thing. You have to leave a trail for it to travel, though. And if you're not doing anything for anybody else, then where is it? It's just with you. So who else can it help? As I always tell people when I give them assistance some type of way, that if I help you, you don't owe me anything.
True.
Take this information. If it's beneficial to you and you're successful with it, share it with somebody else. That person is going to
forward
one day. Mm-hmm. Pay it forward, and you would have repaid me. I won't even know about it, but I just told you what I needed from you. If that's what you're asking me, what can you do for me? That's all you can do for me. Pay it forward, and I'll be fine. Because at that point, it keeps going. And so that's the thing is people want to know, well, how do I leave, something behind, legacy and that kind of thing. All of that sort of is key to a family setting to some degree if you want to leave your name floating. But here's the thing that people forget. Every time, like between the three of us, every time you mention somebody who has left this physical plane, you mention their name, they still here. They still here because you've carried their name forward in some other aspect. So they
Yes.
live through you. So
True.
if for instance you you know tell a story about them or just happen to mention that I had an uncle that used to do, there you go. They never actually leave. We're into this thing where with the limiting belief system where you think that once the body leaves, that's the end of it, and it's not.
No.
It's not. It's a new beginning for life. I have a cousin rather. This is an unusual situation too. Her and her husband, they go back to her childhood hometown, right? On the last day, they're getting ready to leave, and so she decides that she wants to make one final stop by the old home that they used to own, right? They want to just take some pictures in front of it. So they get out of the car and they're taking pictures, and around this corner comes a car speeding. It was young people in the car. They lose control of the car. They hit both of them plus their car. He gets killed. He dies. And so, and we weren't for sure whether she was going to make it or not, but she ended up pulling through. And so the first time I had a chance to talk to her, I asked her, are you okay? And she said, well, everybody asks me that when they come in here to see me, but it's the way that you just said it. I feel that. So I want to tell you something. She said, I stood there and I watched that car run over my husband and kill him.
Wow.
She said, but you know what? I don't feel the pain from that act. I feel the pain of the suddenness of it all. How that 1 second, if we just kept going and not taking that picture, that probably wouldn't have happened. I said, but you do understand that the way this life works, there's no such thing as a coincidence. So you were supposed to be right where you were at that particular time. And I say, now, I know sometimes when somebody will speak something like that to you, that'll seem cold and callous, but you understand what I'm saying. She said, I do. I understand that. And I said, so y'all had ran the course of your happiness with him. And at that moment, it was just that you were right where you're supposed to be, So, but she's accepted it and been able to move herself forward and come back. And they've been married, I think, like 30 years. So yeah, that was her life partner, she said. So it was kind of difficult for her, but she's made a full recovery now as far as the mental aspect of it, where she can deal with it. But that's the thing about this life, is short. So you never know when your time is up, And so you have to live every second of it to its fullest extent. So you can't spend a lot of times with limiting beliefs or doubts about who you are and how you want to live. And so you can't build yourself and you can't hide rather inside of a community and say, I feel safe here, so I don't need to try to grow anymore. You can't do that. You ladies know what I'm talking about. And so I for me, myself, I see a lot of men that do this to themselves too, but women more so because of the way that you guys were groomed from childhood, and so it's something that I think as a society we need to shift a little bit more to understand that death is just a part of what we consider this life, of course, but it's not the end of it all, though. It's a new beginning. And so when you leave here, you just left this body. That's it. The people that loved you in that body, they still find that love. And so you're still going to be here within the heart. And so when you speak somebody's name or memory of something that they did, you keeping them here. They're still here. And so you're just sharing them with somebody else who may retell the story, and they may use their name to complete the story instead of, well, was telling me this story and they said that their cousin, they'll actually call them by their name and then say that they were your cousin. And that's who told me this story. And yeah, but it touched me. And so that's the way you live forever and have a legacy is through other people. You can do all the things that you want to and still not have a legacy. And then because somebody's always going to be second guessing your legacy, like, oh, that wasn't anything. They should have did more than that. That you never can, you can't do enough.
True.
So so you just have to live the way you feel most comfortable and what works for you. And if you do that, you will be fine. You'll be fine. And the limiting beliefs and that kind of thing, they will gradually kind of move away from you. Now you still have moments where because when you take on a big project, you can have that I haven't been here before, so can I actually do this? But you only have it for a brief moment. Now somebody who struggles with that, it stays with them. But like between the three of us, no, a moment like that is, we live for that. That's like dessert. Yeah, that's some good dessert just waiting to be tasted. So, yeah. So if when ideas come to me, I bring them out of my head, put them on paper, and I take a look at that paper and then figure out how am I going to make this work.
Sure.
Once I go down the steps, there's no more doubt. Then I'm going. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Sure. And so, that's how you have to look at life. So a lot of times when people are thinking that, how did you do that? Or why, are you capable of doing that? It's because you don't have the same limiting beliefs that they do. You see you as able to do just about anything that you want to. And that way the sky's the limit for you. So, and as far as the sky goes, that's a big space out there to conquer. So that's why you see yourself, though. You're like, okay, here I come. Here I come. Get some wings. I'm coming. And
wow.
So that's how it feels, So, yeah. Now, I know I went from introduction to all.
No. You're
oh, my God. Lady J, can I butt in here before this person?
Yes.
Because I just want to give a shout out to Terry, the cruise director.
Okay.
For Margaritaville Cruise Line.
Good deal.
Oh my God, she is an amazing person.
Good.
And she empower the people on that cruise line.
Yes.
When you're in her presence, you can feel that heavy vibration. You can feel that frequency. And it's truly amazing. And, I am so grateful and I'm so honored that I've got to meet her.
Good.
And Terry, just remember that we love you. We are sending you great vibes, some enrichment of mind, body, and soul. Just know that you're doing a great job. Just know that whatever is your story, you will share that story someday. But that story took you to the place that you are right now. And we are so proud of you for the woman that you are right now. And I also want to give shout out to Royal. This is another person that I met on the cruise line as well. And I'm proud of her as well because she said to me, Karen, I needed to take this break. She said I needed clarity with a lot of things in my life.
Right.
And it's very admirable when someone can say, you know what, I need to take this break.
Absolutely.
Because it's self-awareness. You realize that, you know what, I need to step away from what's going on at this point in time and go to somewhere where I can have clarity, where I can be by myself. I can do some self-introspection and I can see exactly how I can empower myself.
Right.
So when I come off back from this cruise line, or I come off back from this space, I have the clarity to move forward with my next chapter in life. So hats off to you, Royal. It was a pleasure meeting you, and you're a great person. Just know that you're a great individual. Back to you, Lady J. I just wanted to give them shout out because they're listening right now.
Of course.
That was good.
I mean, there are amazing women, and that's what we talk about here on the show. And well, you know that as well.
Absolutely.
Because as in my intro, I talk about presence. And when you can have that level of presence, when you show up in a space because you embody all of that and you carry that with you, that presence is so important.
Yes.
And it can be felt vibration is high, the frequency is good. Something happened in that space, in that moment, because of your presence. So
Sure.
today the question is, how is your presence? What when you show up in a room or in a space or a conversation with someone, how is that presence of yours?
Sure.
And so the thing is also, as you talk about royal as well, that is why self-care is so essential.
Yes.
Self-care is so essential because sometimes you have to disconnect and
Yes.
then reconnect or
That's right.
connect.
That's
You
right.
have to disconnect because
Yes.
when you disconnect and you connect again, or you reconnect, if you want to put it in that phrase or sentence, you move back into a whole level of clarity. You're so refilled, you're so inspired, you come with a new level of energy. That new level of energy. And when you come back with that, wow. I mean, we all experience when we disconnect and we take that time for ourselves, we get refuel.
Mhm.
We do what we have to do. We focus on self discovery, more self awareness, knowing exactly who we are and where do we want to move in life from that moment. But when how we be stepping into our next.
Right.
What are some of the tools that we need to gather to move forward, to really move in the level that we want to move in? And I just like to say, move in your level of excellence,
Mhm.
because that's how you want to move. You
Exactly.
want to move. You don't want to move in a mediocre way. You want to move with all of you. So when you step in, as we talk about our presence, when you're stepping. People can be felt, and they may want to emulate you because they say, "What is it you're carrying? What is it?
Yes.
What is it that you come?" But there is something. But for you to receive, and as we talking about this, it don't come like that.
No. No.
You got to do the work.
Exactly.
Yes.
You got to do
Yes.
you got to do the self discovery. You got to do healing if healing is in that aspect for you. You got to do all those things so that you can move in a level of alignment. Well, when you spoke about confidence, that's so super important, because
Mhm.
Yeah.
when you said you're going to move into a community, and you think that, okay, community is good because community is building, supporting, but when you come to in a community, what value are you adding there?
Exactly.
Are you just coming in the community to receive? What are you bringing in there?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to come with something, and
Mm-hmm.
to come with something, you got it. You have to have the tools. You got to
Right.
know what your creativity is. You have to have that level of joy. You got to get all those things, because you just don't want to be a taker in a community. You
True.
want to contribute.
True.
Yes.
You want to able to give. You want to able to add that level of value. So we all adding values, and we uplift, then we motivate, then we support, then we receive the level of transformation, which is amazing. Because as I was thinking about something today, and motivation is good, inspiration is good,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't last,
No.
True.
because you have to able to move into the level of transformation.
Absolutely.
Because when you move into the level of transformation, it's lasting. It's lasting. So it is super, super important. And thank you, Lady K, for highlighting those ladies.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it
I had to. Joan. I had Lady J. I had to highlight them. Because
yeah,
when I remember the first night when I saw Terry. When she entered into that space, she commanded that room. With her presence,
Mm-hmm.
she just command that room. And it clearly shows the confidence
of course.
within an individual, because
Right.
Hmm.
when you step on stage and when you can silence a crowd, and when a crowd could listen to you and follow your command,
That's power
that's
right there.
commanding a room.
Absolutely, it
That's
is.
power
That's
right
just
there.
commanding the room.
Yeah,
And I had
yeah,
to tell her, because another thing that we need to do is that when we see these type of people, we need to uplift them
of
and let
course.
them know they're doing a good job.
Of
Absolutely.
course.
Many times we don't do that,
Right.
and we
We do that
really
all the
need to
time.
let them know. We need to let them know,
Yeah,
hey, you're doing a good job. We are proud of you, because that only add more fuel for them,
Exactly.
that they could able to do more to continue that ripple effect
Right.
across.
Of
Right.
So
course.
we have to do that.
That's super important.
Yeah, it is important. It's really, really important, because like Will said something, and it really sent me straight to self-talk.
Yes.
What are the things we are telling ourselves on a daily basis?
Yes.
What are
Yeah.
our self-talks? What are our I ams?
Uh-huh.
Because many times we say, I am not good enough. If you keep telling yourself you're not good enough, that is
That's where
what
you're
you're
gonna
going to
get.
be. You're not going to be good enough.
That's
If,
right.
if
That's where
you're
you're gonna
telling
get.
yourself, I don't deserve success, that is exactly what you're going to be attracting to yourself.
Exactly.
Your limiting belief system, it has to change
Has to.
before you can see anything changing in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Many times we are saying, oh, Jane is getting ahead, or this person is getting ahead. But do you know the work that that person is putting
There you
into
go.
themselves?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Do you know the time that that person is taking with themselves so they can see the transformation they're looking for?
Mm-hmm.
You may be on the outside and looking at the individual, but you're not behind the scenes and seeing the things that are happening behind the scenes with that individual. So it's nice for you to look at somebody being transformed and seeing the evolution happening in someone's life. But what are you doing for you?
That's right.
What are you doing for you to see your transformation? And you cannot be jealous of someone who is doing their evolution, putting in their work, and seeing the evolution happening in their
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
You've got to put in the work. It don't happen no other way. You can't run from this. This is life. If you want to see your life transforming, you got to do the work. That's what you got to do. You got to do the work, baby.
And also to add to that as well. So there's where also when we seeing our friends are winning, we have to celebrate them,
Right.
because as they win, you win.
Mm-hmm.
You once there is an art in that, because they're winning, you're seeing their success, you're celebrating them. You are going to become winners too as well. You are already a
Absolutely.
Yeah.
winner. It's just that it didn't really show up in a moment as yet, but the pathway is already lined for your success.
That's right.
So as you support them in their winning and you celebrating them, you are going to be that. It's part of you, it's within. It's just for the moment to show up, and you have the level of readiness, which mindset also plays a role,
Yes.
because you
Mm-hmm.
have to have the level of mindset, so that when that opportunity arises or emerges, you can meet and match that moment, so you can feel celebrated too as well.
Mm-hmm.
That is so important as well.
It is. It is. You ladies are talking about adding, one of the subject matters of this was value. And so you're talking about value in yourself. If you do that, you can transfer that outward.
True.
It
True.
will,
So
people will be able
100%
to
believe
feel
that.
that. Exactly.
Yes.
So it's not that, people think that it's difficult to create value for you, but as you just mentioned, Karen, it's a presence. Once you create the confidence that you really believe in you, everything else will sort of just kind of fit around you. It's like a glove. You'll start feeling
Yes.
a level of yes, I can, and no matter what the setting is, you'll feel like you belong there, and that yes, you can. That's your value right there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's sort of, and also I think also when you add in value, the level of mindset that you got to start choosing for you.
Yes.
You got to be
Yes.
choosing. You have to be start choosing. I'm going to eat quality kind of food. I'm going to dress well for the product I want, that I'm striving for. Right? You have to start making those choices. Who do I want to be? What do I want to become? What are you aspiring for? And then you start to emulate that. You start to move in that space and making different choices, so that you can, but if you want to say, because you're creating a state within yourself,
Right.
because it
Right.
happens from the inside and then comes to the
I like
outside.
that. Creating a
Right?
state within yourself. I like that, Lady J.
Yes. Yes. It is. That's good.
She's dropping some gems, Will.
Yes, yes, she is.
No, real talk. Real
Oh,
talk. You
oh,
you you
real
gotta
talk
make
on the
start to
too,
think
too.
about it
Okay?
like that. Think
Yes,
abundance.
yes.
Start thinking
Oh, that's a
abundance.
big word there, Lady J. Abundance. People, everybody wants abundance, but as you just mentioned there, they don't think that they deserve it or can get
True.
it. But you have
Right.
it. Lady K already said you have it already. You just have
It's
to
there.
start. You have to move.
It's
You have to
there.
move.
Just
It's
gotta
there.
move to it. It's
Yeah.
Talk
there.
to somebody who is struggling and say, okay, you guys are talking about abundance, you guys are talking about
Right.
mindset, you guys don't know what I've been through, and I'm struggling, I'm barely making ends
Yeah.
meet.
Yeah.
I mean, that is where the limited belief is, because you look in
Yeah.
the environment you came from,
Exactly.
and how can I really think? Talk to somebody who is in that place and is really struggling to really move beyond that space, because your past does not define you,
No.
right? Speak to that. Your
Okay.
past does not define you. So, in order for me to,
True.
I'm living in 2025, I'm thinking of great things, I want to create big thoughts.
Right.
What do I start with? Because I'm having a little problems with this limited belief that you guys are talking about. But help me as a person. This person's asking this question. Help
Right.
me see beyond my space now.
Okay. The first thing they have to do is what both of you ladies said: accept themselves for who they are.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the first stone that you put in place. Once you do that, now you can start putting the other blocks in place. You know, once you accept that, okay, I've had some troubles in my past. I don't think I was raised right, or my parents weren't there for me, whatever it is, this
Right.
creating all this self-doubt in you. You start to push that aside and start accepting that it's just part of your history. Now, once you're able to do that, that's one block. Now you start to build up on it. Once you do that, you can start coming back to self-love. That's the second block. Once you build that second block of self-love, now everything else can start going into place around it. You can start seeing the vision. You can see you. Once you start being able to see you in that position, now you can start the pathway to walking. You can start walking now. But you have to absolutely see you in that position. You
True.
can't, look and you see somebody else in it. You have to see yourself fitting in those shoes, and then you walking the yellow brick road, so to speak, to whatever success you think you can find at that point. It's a pyramid that you have to build a block at a time.
Mm-hmm.
There's no quick way to it. You have to be
Right.
patient with yourself, and as you put each one of those blocks in place, they're going to be solid. Once they become really solid, where you don't have to worry about them crumbling at all, now you have the foundation to build upward with. And as you start to build, everything will start to come into play. You'll start meeting the right people, as we mentioned earlier. Situations will come into your life that you've thought about, and even may have spoken out loud to yourself. And those situations will start to play themselves out. Now it's just up to you to accept it. You can't start the foundation and then still have a doubt somewhere in it,
Mm-hmm.
because then what that means is you're using cheap cement basically to hold it
Right. We
together.
don't want to do that.
Yeah, you don't
It's
want to do
gonna
that.
crumble.
It's
Yeah,
gonna crumble.
gonna get
Exactly.
cracks. No, we can't.
Exactly.
We got to use the best. So
You got to use the best. So you got to treat yourself with that value. You have to be the best.
be the
Once you,
best. Buy the
once you buy
best. Choose the
into it,
best.
then
Right.
the rest of it's easier. When I say easy, not easy as in it's going
Right.
to be to do it, but I mean the steps are. So
Right. Right.
you start then obtaining the information or knowledge to give support to what you believe you can do then. And so all of this stuff comes together. Once you start tying all those pieces together, that these are things that you said that you didn't have growing up, or maybe situation came up and broke you to where you lost all of those things and started nothing but self-limiting beliefs in yourself. You can start repairing that. You can start rebuilding yourself. Right? Since you brought that up, Lady J, about the value, online there was and I just seen this interview a couple of days ago, I guess, where this woman who used to be a popular singer, right? And she was with a group, but she had been living in her car for 2 years. Okay. And so she lived with her parents for a little while, but then her and her mom couldn't get along. So she ended up leaving that situation and just moved into her car. Now, what I've seen is there are a lot of people living in their cars right now. because of where we are economically. People are losing their houses and so forth and jobs. And so they alternative, they just feel like they don't have any place to go. So last resort is car or, whatever kind of vehicle they have. Now that's broken, right? But here's the thing. You can still rebuild yourself from that point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
You might be low, but you can come back. You can come back.
Stronger too.
Exactly. Far stronger than you ever thought you could be and was in the beginning. You can build yourself back up, but it all has to start from what both of these ladies said. You have to start with those building blocks and put them in place, and then believe that those blocks are strong enough to hold your beliefs. Once they hold them, now you can cut. You're going to be able to get back to where you were plus some. So, and a lot of times too, people tie themselves into their jobs and situations to that's who they are. That's not who you are.
True.
But so people get tied into titles and all that
identity.
That's symbolism stuff that goes away. But so you have to know who you are. As Lady K said, awareness. You have to become aware. You have to, whether you do that through some type of spiritual system or just whatever's going to work for you.
Right.
All that really matters. Okay, so you don't have a rigid system that you have to buy into, but it has to fit for you. Once you actually understand that it's about you, now everything else can start to work for you. So, value is very important. And as both you ladies just said, it's the beginning of where you need to go in order to rebuild whatever happens to you or you're in a situation. You have to have value in order to rebuild yourself. Because if you limit your value, nothing else is going to work for you.
True.
Absolutely.
Thank you for saying that. And that is why I just want to jump in. That is why it is so important that we can rewrite that narrative.
Mm-hmm.
We can rewrite that narrative and watch the inner dialogue and every single thing, because we can change it.
Yes.
Because it happened, but we can rewrite that to what we wanted to see become.
I'm going to show you how powerful what you just said is, Lady J. Transformational narrative is to write your story or rewrite the story where, just as what you said, you are in the position of, I guess, winning or being successful or whatever it may be. That narrative has to be written, and it's transformational. It's called transformative or transformational narrative, where you put yourself in the story that you're telling about you of success. Once you do that, your whole life will follow that storyline. But you have to be, as you said, you have to be willing to put yourself in that transformational narrative, though. So a lot of people won't write the story about them like that. They'll stay on the negative part of themselves and never give themselves any sort of uplifting. I came over this hill and I was successful. I planted the flag. They won't do that. Go ahead, Karen.
No. I'm just saying, right.
I think sometimes what happened, because they want to see it before they believe it. I think there is where the tricky part is.
Yes, it is.
They want to see it before they believe it. They don't have to. They don't develop that level of mindset that I can rewrite the script. I can shape my own narrative. I can create my own reality. And taking that inspired action and writing that narrative, which is transformational, then you manifesting that to to become an existence.
Yes.
But sometimes they want to see it before they believe it.
Yeah. Now, see, you just touched on something that's really important to this. You can see it to some degree before it comes to you, but that's in the mind's eye.
Of course, the mind's eyes. You're right.
Exactly. So now, if you can see it in your mind's eye, that means it's possible for you to bring it to the material. We talked about the frequency of it. That's the way the frequency works, is because you see it in your mind's eye first, and now you have to move forward toward it to materialize it. As you start to move forward, those frequencies start to draw together and bring the things that you've seen in your vision to you. But you have to see it. We talk about this on this show a lot too, and it's mentioned everywhere. You have to see what you want to believe. Now, as you mentioned, Lady J, this is really important here, because you said they have to see it. Now, in spirituality or in religion, people don't see what they believe. Well, like, again, we come back to belief and faith, two different things. What they have faith in, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They will swear on their grave that they do believe that it's possible. Now, you can't do both things there, so they sort of contradict themselves when they go into that thing like that. You either are all in or you're not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't be, I got 1 foot in, and then if I happen to see something, then you know what? I'm going to run over there because then I know it's a chance of me being successful with it. But yeah, if you got to see yourself doing that. You know, if you can't do that, then there's no way for you to be able to do it. I'm going to share that. You bring me to a quick story real quick. And it's short too. Okay. When I first got in the sports, I you know, at that point in time, I hadn't seen a Rolls Royce at that point in person, right? I'd seen, you know, in magazines and stuff like that, but I hadn't seen one in person. I always said that I was going to drive one, right? So I ended up meeting these 2 guys who they were twin brothers. They were doctors, and they befriended me. We became really good friends. And so they were taking this trip to Oklahoma. So they called me and asked me, it was on a Saturday morning. They called me, I think about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Hey, Will, what you doing today, man? You know, like, I'm just hanging out, dude. What is it? We're going to Oklahoma, man. Come ride with us. So I said, okay, well, let's go. So I go over to their house, and I didn't even know they owned a Rolls Royce, you know. So as I walk up to the front porch, I see this car on the side. The driveway circled around to the back of the house. I never had been to the back of the house before because every time we hung out, I just, you know, went in the front door and we hung out in the living room space or the dining room area. I never went to the backyard. So I noticed this car sitting in the driveway, though. It's on the side. I say, okay, so what time we leaving? I say, right now. You here now, so let's get ready to go. So I said, okay, well, are we going to my car? What are we doing? No, we're going in the car right there in the driveway. I said, that's a Rolls Royce? I said, yeah, man. I said, so okay, so we going to Oklahoma in a Rolls Royce? Yeah. And you're gonna drive us? I said, what? I said, yeah, you drive it, man. You can drive it. So we got in the car, and one got in the back seat, the other one got in the front seat with me, and you know, they just told me where we needed to go. And I said, I know my way to Oklahoma, so I've been there a few times. So where exactly are we going? So they told me where we were going. And yeah, it was 2.5 hour trip. And after I drove that car, I told them and I told myself, I said, I'm getting me one of these. I'm gonna get me one of these. I don't care how long it takes, I'm getting
True.
me one of these.
True.
So
True.
yeah, you have to be able to see that. Once you see the vision in your head,
Mm-hmm.
see, I saw that vision. I told myself that I was going to drive one day, right? And there you go. It played out just the way I saw it in my vision. I drove it. You know, so you have to believe that you're going to be able to do these things in order for it to happen for you. If you don't do that, then you can't possibly make it happen. You know, there's just no way for it to come back to you. So you have to believe that it's possible. Once you see the vision, you have to believe that vision, and then everything else will start to, like I said, make its way back to you. Make its way back to you. You know, those same 2 brothers ended up, because they were like eccentric. They were out there. They had all this money, so they were just kind of all over the place. But they decided they wanted to be country singers, right? And so they created a song, and they ended up playing. It got played on the radio, made it to number 80, you know, on the charts. And so they invited me to be their manager because they have a manager. They just doing stuff because they had all this money, you know. And so yeah, that's how I got into some parts of my business stuff, is through them. You know, they introduced me to more people as we started to, you know, hang out more and introduced me to people. And so I got to go through doors that have been years down the road from me.
Mm-hmm.
But they were adventurous and just wanted to, you know, get through, do things. They were going through some doors because of who they were, you know. So they used their dad's contacts, and that got them access. And so they gave me the same access. So that's how I got started, through them. And so,
Beautiful.
yeah,
Wow.
so, you know, but you have to see the vision, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to
You
believe
gotta
it.
see it. You gotta see it. You know.
Exactly.
You know, when you talk about that story with that car, you know, Joan, you know, I'm gonna talk about that story now. You know,
Yeah.
I remember one day myself. That's back in our country, Guyana, and myself and Joan, we was in a taxi,
Right.
and John looked across. We stopped at a restaurant to
I guess she yeah, yeah, we stopped at a restaurant and
Okay.
to purchase to get dinner, and there was this beautiful it was a white merino,
Okay.
right? That's how we didn't really take it from there.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, no,
And
no, it's okay.
I
Exactly.
remember we stopped at a restaurant to buy food, right?
Okay.
And John looked across at a car, beautiful car. I think it was a Merino at that
Yeah, a
time,
white merino.
a,
Right.
a Toyota white Merino.
Okay.
And she looked across and she said, Karen, I'm buying that car, And I looked at her, you know. But she said to me again, she said, Karen, I'm buying a car just like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
I said, okay. I said, okay. I said, okay, I believe you.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But she looked at me and then she said, you don't believe me.
Right. She could feel it. She could feel it.
She
Yes.
said, Karen, you don't believe me.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
said, okay. And 6 months down the line, Joan bought a car just like that.
Exactly.
White, exactly same color,
Exactly.
Exactly
everything.
like that.
That's
Yes.
how it works. That's how it works.
That's how it
Exactly.
works.
People have to know these things, since you speak, we were talking about this in the car context. When I first went through my awakening, right, I was going, and I've told this story a little bit on here before, but I was headed to a meeting. And going to this meeting, the people had changed up the parameters of what the deal was going to be, right? And so I was trying to figure out how I was going to work my way through negotiations of it. So I was sort of in the dark. See, I just put this story together just about a week or so ago. I was playing it back in my head, and because I've been trying to figure out why did I see this, right? But as I'm driving down the road, there are 6 vehicles, different models, makes, they go by me, but they're in a straight line. It's 6 of them, all white. Okay. So when the first one goes by me, you're driving, you don't pay any attention to a car, you're just passing you by. And then as out of my peripheral, I can see the second one go by. So I turn my head at this point. Then a third one, they all riding together in a line, straight, just neat, just bumpers, barely bumpers apart, and they just going on about their business. It was 6 of them, right? Now, as I mentioned, I was in a little bit of a dark space at the time. Those 6 cars were the light. But I didn't put that together until about 2 weeks ago. I've been trying to figure out what the hell was that sign? Why would I get that sign? What did it mean? I knew when I went to that meeting, it went flawless. They gave me everything I asked for, and they just kind of rolled over and played dead for me, right? But the universe has put me in that position where I was supposed to see light, and that's what those white cars stood for. And so every time I told the story, it made sense, but to a degree it didn't make sense because I didn't have exactly what the symbolism of those 6 white cars meant to me, right? That was the light. That was telling me that it was going to be okay. You know how to do this. You know what you need to say. When you go through those doors, you'll know exactly what you need to say to these people. And that's exactly the way it played out. But I didn't put that together. And this happened to me in 2019 when that actually took place. I didn't put it together to, like I said, about 2 weeks ago, it kind of registered. I was kind of doing something and I ran the story back through as my vision.
Mm-hmm.
I could see it again. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That was
Yeah.
darkness to light. That's what the hell. I didn't get it. But I had got it, but I just didn't have it in the context right? I knew things that worked out, but I never had understood the symbolism of those 6 white vehicles being together like that. And then this is the thing. Once they went by me, once that last car went by me, then they all shifted and went to different lanes. But they were together in that little pack as they went by me, though. So yeah, you have to be able to see things, and things will happen that
Yeah.
you have to be open to receive messages. You're going to get
Absolutely.
messages. That's what the other thing that you mentioned, Karen, is you have to have an awareness, which that comes back to the awareness part of it. You have to be open to this stuff because you're going to get messages, but you may not be able to receive them because you're not in a good space mentally, which is mindfulness, as you mentioned, Lady J. You have to be in a good space, headspace, in order to see these things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So they're not going to come in the form that you want to see them in for you to believe.
True.
They're going to come in a context of just a little
True.
bit of something
True.
odd, a
True.
little bit out of
True.
place. And if
True.
you're paying really close attention, that's your vision being seen to believe that it's possible for you to then go on and do what you're
Yes.
talking about doing.
True.
There
That
it
That
is.
is
is so true.
There it is.
That is so true, because, and that is why readiness and preparedness is super, super important,
Yes.
Exactly.
so that you
Yes.
can match the moment when it arises,
That's right. That's right.
because
See,
then you miss the opportunity.
you know something. You guys just shared the story about the car with Lady J. When I said this before, as people when people get to where they really start tapping into what we're doing here on this show and understand you two ladies, they will find that y'all are interchangeable. Now on screen, y'all don't look like twins, but as you start to communicate with these ladies, you will figure and find out very quickly that they are one in the same spirit. You know, it's sort of a it's not difficult to explain to you, but it's an intertwinedness that's they are so close that you would think that they were born at the same time. One can speak for the other. They are that in tune with each other, and so that's what's unique about this show. When you talk, when they're hosting a show and you watching this show with them hosting, you're getting something very special. And so you have to kind of open yourself up and just be relaxed, and you'll feel their energy. And I said this before, there are very few people who can do what we're doing right now. We're speaking on screen virtually, right? Now there are very few people who can touch people doing it this way. They have to have people in the studio with them in order to reach them. But here's what's unique about you guys. And I just said, very few people can do this. You're able to reach through this screen and actually put your hands on people to where they understand and can feel you. And so very few
Wow.
people can do that. When you have a guest on your show, that's that interaction between you and your guest, no matter what the topic is, you can connect with those people. Whereas some people they can't do that. They can't do that. That's why you see people do these live, or not necessarily live, but in-person guests have to be on the show for them to even have enough energy to get through the show, first of all, and then for the guests to feel like they actually are tuned in to what this person wants to ask them or do the show about, right? You're able to do that, and that's very unique. It's a very unique skill set because very few people can do it, where you can reach through the screen and connect with people on such a level that they can feel like you're talking directly to them. Very few people can do that. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with the audience to let them know that when you're looking at these two ladies, they are one person, one
Thank
body.
you.
They're moving like the water. Yeah, when they're coming, it's a wave. So you jump in or get out the way. One of the two. You know? If you're gonna get
Thank you
ran
for
over, get in
saying
the
that,
way.
Will.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
saying
you.
that. Yeah.
And
And you
and
know, it's absolutely true to what you're saying there.
Yeah, I know. I know.
It's absolutely truth.
Now,
Absolutely.
I see when as you said, Lady J didn't think that you thought that she was actually going to get that car. You believed her, but you were just sort of like in a state of, wait a minute, what? But see, she missed that. See, it's kind of like when you were speaking when you did the show and you opened the show, and this is the first time I've ever seen this happen. I told you guys as we were doing the show, for 30 seconds, she kind of froze. Because usually when you do your introduction and then you pitch to her, she's ready to go. But on this particular show that we did together here, you opened up and it was so powerful that Lady J was like an audience member. She was like, okay, yeah. And so then when you pitched to her, she was still in audience mode. She was like, wait a minute, you talking to me? Oh, okay. She was,
wow.
yeah, it took her away. It took her away. But yeah,
Wow.
I'm really glad that I have a chance to do shows with you ladies. And like I
Thank
just told the
you.
audience,
Okay.
because you're so connected with each other like that, when you're talking to one, you're talking to both of them at the same time.
Yes.
They
Yes.
both understand exactly what you're trying to get across and what they need to ask you or suggest that get your message out to people. So don't hesitate. If they invite you to be a guest on this show, come. It will be the best thing you can do for yourself.
Thank you for saying that. And I
Yeah.
just want to jump back a little bit,
Come on.
because you spoke about you spoke about legacy, and
Right.
even though someone has transitioned,
Mm-hmm.
but the legacy still is left behind, because once somebody speak or call their name, that is what it is. And
Exactly.
so We just want to, I was thinking about it, and I know Karen would say the same thing as well. Our mother and our grandmother, we talk about them all the time because
Mhm.
we celebrate them, because who we are today is because of our
Right.
mother and our grandmother. They still the values in us, the
Mhm.
integrity, every single thing,
Right. Right.
mindfulness and kindfulness, all of that. So everything you see from us today that we share, we collaborate, we partner with, is because of them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely right, and that is why it is so important, the foundation that you stand on.
Truly.
As Will was talking about foundation, if your foundation is not strong that you're standing on,
Mm-hmm.
you can cave very easily,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And if your foundation is not strong, you cannot understand the structure, because it takes a lot of things to put a structure up.
It
A
does.
lot of components gotta come together for a structure to stand strong, you know. So you've got we all have to understand what was being poured into you as a young person.
Right.
What you listen to, it is super important. The things them that was being said to you as a little person growing up as a child, it is super important because that is molding you, that is shaping you. So whenever you reach something up in life, you can able to say, you know what? I've got these tools that I've inherited from my ancestors, and I can pull out on that, and I can harness myself to whatever situation I'm going through at this point in time. I can use that to push forward and to take myself forward in life.
Right.
So if you're a parent and you're looking at this podcast, make sure the foundation that you're setting for your children is strong.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, they are walking their path as well. And they're going to need to be on a solid foundation in order for them to really move forward, obstacles that is going to meet them in life.
That's right.
They need the main tools. The main tools they need: kindfulness,
Hmm.
mindfulness, whatever form of modality, if it's church, whatever it is, gratitude. All of those things are the foundation that we need to give our children. So when they're standing there, they can be able to say, well, you know what? My four parents, they taught me these things. And I can stand here today that whatever I'm going through, I can stand here today and I can able to push myself forward because I have these modalities. It's ingrained in me. It's ingrained in me, and I could use them at my advantage free of cost. It doesn't cost anything. It's
Mm-hmm.
free, you know. But once you have these things ingrained in your DNA as a child growing up, that is what will take you through life. Right, Will?
That's right. I couldn't have said it better. That's pretty good. That was pretty good. You know, you guys just mentioned about your grandmother and your mother there. A lot of people, they want to forget the people that they don't have here in the flesh anymore. But that's the wrong thing to do, I think. I
Yes.
think that you can carry those people forward with you because, as you just mentioned, Karen and Lady J, they imprint certain things on you that you're
Yes.
going to need to carry you through life. And if you
Yes.
use some of those things,
Yes.
they will help you through all type of
Yes.
situations.
Yes.
So they prepared you. You just have to
Mhm.
know when to pull that out of your toolbox and use it.
Yes.
If you
Right.
do it the right way, there's nothing.
Yes.
There's no limits to you. Knowledge is. People like to say knowledge is power, but it's acquiring it and then utilizing that knowledge. If you just have the knowledge, it's not going to do much for you. You can talk about it and re-quote it and that kind of thing. But if you're not utilizing it in any type of way, then it does you no good because you take it with you. You're not sharing it, with the world or
Right.
anybody. So
Right.
it's the use of that knowledge that's going to open the doors and help you get through where you want
Yes.
to go. Because once you're able to use it, then when the door does open for you, you now know kind of what you need to know in order to make it work for you. So, because
That's so true.
when they come like both of you ladies said this, when they come, the opportunities, they come fast. And a lot of times, Lady
True.
J said, you got to be prepared.
Yeah.
As you said, you wanted this opportunity, and now it's showing up, and you're like, oh, shit, what do I do? I don't know if I'm ready for this. You asked for it. You spoke
Right.
it. You
Careful
spoke
what you ask for.
Exactly. Because, see, that's something, you said this a little bit earlier at the beginning of this. When you manifest something, it's going to come to you if you're in the right mindset and energy base to draw it to you. It's coming. Now, you can't get it like tomorrow. You can't say a manifestation tonight, like I want a pot of gold tomorrow. It's not showing up tomorrow for you, you know, but it's coming if you will keep your path on the way to it. You have to meet it. It's going to be sort of waiting for you, but you have to go meet it. So that means you have to put some work in. And so if you do that, now you can have that pot of gold. You can have
Right.
it. You can have it.
Right.
It's so true. The thing is, we as human beings, we don't even know how powerful we are.
No.
We don't know how powerful we are. We just don't know how powerful we are, and the thing is that many times we complain too much.
Mm-hmm.
We sit there and we keep complaining all the time. We're not getting and being creative,
right,
and finding ways how we can overcome a situation that we're going through in life. We sit there and we complain, and many times the answers, if we sit still and do self-introspection and be self-aware, the answers is right in front of us.
Absolutely.
But we are blindsided because of the negative thoughts that we have processing within the mind. We cannot see what we're supposed to see.
Mm-hmm.
That is why we gotta change our perspective about life. Life is not here to challenge us. It is here to help us to move from one space to the next space. And it all depends on what you're asking for.
Absolutely.
And you have to be careful what you're asking for, because whatever you're asking for, you have to prepare yourself for what you're asking for.
Yes.
It don't come just like that. You got to prepare yourself. So you may be asking for something. Let's say you're asking for a new job, right? If you're asking for a new job, the old job got to go.
It has to go.
The old job got to go before you get the new job,
Absolutely.
right?
That's right.
So sometimes you find when that time meet for that old job to go, you got so much negative things to say about that old job. But remember, you're asking for a new job. And you also have to remember and give gratitude for that old job, what it provided you in the point in time.
Yes.
Because you have needed that job at that point in time. Same goes to relationships.
Mm-hmm.
When you're shifting, you may say, you know what, I need a new relationship in my life. Are you prepared for that relationship that you want? You got to prepare yourself for that relationship you're looking for. You can't just say, oh, I'm looking for this woman, I'm looking for this man. But can you match that person?
Exactly.
Can you match that individual that you're saying you want in your life? You got to prepare yourself mentally, spiritually, for that individual you want to attract into your life.
Right.
This thing is so simple.
It is.
It's only we make this thing so complex.
Yes.
It is simple. Whatever you want to attract, you got to prepare yourself for that attraction.
Yeah.
It don't come just like that. It has to go through a preparation stage. It has to go through a transition stage before you really reach that final place, whatever it is that you're looking for with your life. It starts with you and self-awareness. The things that you're telling yourself on a daily basis. Anytime you catch yourself going out of line, You got to be pulling yourself back into line
That's right.
because we are human, you know. The mind is going to play tricks with us, especially when you are trying really to get away now from those self-limiting beliefs that have been holding you back. It's going to keep pulling you back to that space. But you got to harness yourself and come to that level of self-awareness and said, you know what? I'm not going back there. I'm changing course. So you got to change your self-talk because you're changing the course. Right, Lady J?
That's super important. That is super important because what when you are moving forward, the old patterns
Right.
that you have will still show up,
Yes.
but you're
Absolutely.
changing, you're creating new. Old patterns will
Absolutely.
show up, but you have to redirect yourself and understand, you know, you acknowledge it. This is
Mm-hmm.
old pattern, right? But
Right.
I'm carving something new for myself. And that
Mm-hmm.
is why I also want to jump back and say when you spoke about as you move forward, every challenges that you've been through in life, it shapes you
It does.
Yes.
because it's
Yes.
getting you
Yes.
ready for the next that you are aspiring for. So every challenge, every setback, everything that you've been through is just building you, is giving you resilience, strength,
Yes.
courage, determination. So when you make that next step, whatever that may be, whether it's a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
a job, or whatever it is, you're already built and you have the capacity to
Mm-hmm.
handle the new place that you're moving into. So you're ready, you
Mhm.
prepare, right?
That's right.
So every time we go through something, whatever it is that we're going through, and it may feel challenging, it may feel hard, it may feel difficult, it might even be tumultuous. We got to accept
Hmm.
and look at it,
That's true.
step back because you're gaining new insights, new perspective, you inspired. You got to pause, hone in on that, and you ask the question, what is this teaching me? Because there is a lesson to learn in every challenge. If we can just pull the curtains back and look at it, and look at it, that it's going to help me to build my confidence. Because if, as with my opening statement that I said, as you build on that level and you look back at everything you've been through in life,
Hmm.
every disappointment, every rejection, every nose, of course you're going to feel away because we all are human.
Exactly.
But when we come to the other side of that, look who have you be, look at a person, look at a new you. Look
Hmm.
at the new you because now you're moving in your higher self. You're moving in your highest self. And when you can reach to that place, then you can look and see what really matters. What really matters to you. Because they're all, as we talk about the old patterns and the old things, don't really have any value for you anymore because you're in a new place. You've grown so much. You have evolved so much. And you move away from the limited beliefs. You move away from the complacency because you step up. You level up. You have attained so much and you're walking with your excellence, with your newness, with all that good stuff, and you're ready. That is why it's so important. The art of letting go is important. To let go of things that don't really serve you well.
Hmm.
Because in order for us to attract, even as we're talking about those newness and the greatness and make that steps, letting go is super important. So you can walk with a level of freedom in that newness and feel good and feel fulfilled. And I like how you talk about early in the beginning about happiness because you spoke about, okay, yes, you can make a lot of money in every single thing,
Right. Right.
but the the real true happiness is when you can live a life of service,
Yes.
when you can help someone else, and you see the joy in the person's face, and you can bring that level of awareness to someone. I see you. I notice you. I thank you.
Right.
that joy of that level of happiness is reciprocated
It is.
because it's happening in time, in the moment, in present. And when you see that, I mean, that's priceless.
It is. It is.
It's so
Absolutely.
beautiful
It
to
is.
see that, because that is true happiness. When you can make somebody else happy in time, in a moment, in present, what a beautiful thing to experience when you see that.
Yes.
It's really, really beautiful. We're so glad that you touched on that.
Mm-hmm.
You
Because
know,
sometimes we all have an idea about what happiness is.
exactly. Exactly. Service is something that a lot of people don't. I guess everybody can't find time if they really want to do it. Okay,
Right, right,
but
right.
people usually will. I don't have time. I can't. My schedule's too heavy.
Hmm.
And if you just do it once a month,
True.
or like something like Meals on Wheels or something like that, you will, as you just mentioned, like Jay, the feeling that comes from doing able to do something like that, it makes you feel good all through. You
It
know,
does.
it does. It can take you to another level actually,
It does.
wherein your heart love that you have for other people outside of yourself. Because here's the thing, I mentioned this already. Your reflection, basically, everybody you meet is a reflection of you. So if you give service to some organization or a club or something, the people that you encounter know that you're doing this out of
Hmm.
love. And so they send that back to you. They send it back. And as you mentioned, it's an overwhelming feeling that you get when you embrace somebody like that.
True.
It can make your day. While you making somebody else's day, it make
True,
your.
Yeah.
true, true.
Yes.
So you just have to, and as we move forward into more of a solution-based type of economy, if you want to be in business to really make your business grow, find something that you get a solution to problems with instead of
Hmm.
just some sort of marketing and advertising and that kind of thing. Make it something that can actually help somebody. If you do that, there's a big new marketplace that's wide open. The large companies are starting to make the transition to this, but the opportunities in the solution-based economy, it's endless. So find your niche and jump in with
True.
both feet and start moving forward because your opportunity is there. It's there. But that's service. You got to look at it from a perspective of being of service to others. If you can do that, then that business will come to you. You won't even have to. You don't even have to oversell it. A lot of
True.
times we talked about this briefly. People are having to oversell something in order to try to get you to buy it. But if you're giving it from service perspective, they feel that and they will actually reciprocate that to you. And so they'll buy at that point, but you have to be of service to people. So that's what I would suggest that people take a look at themselves and find out how they can be of service to more people. So,
True.
yeah. So I'll
Intentionally.
let
So
one of you
true.
jump in from there.
Yeah, so true what you say, well, and this was really, really an enriching conversation. It was
Yeah.
really inspiring, very motivated because if someone is watching at this podcast this evening, you can tell us that you're gonna get some pointers this evening.
Right.
You know, in whatever area in your life, whatever you're going through at this point in time, know you're gonna get out.
You're gonna get out.
But you got to develop that mindset to get out. You know, it all depends upon you. It's your choice. It's your choice. Whatever the situation it's in your hands. You can turn it around.
Yeah.
You can turn it. I can tell you, I'm a living testimony to that. You can turn any situation you're going through at this point in time with your life. You can turn it around. It all depends on your mindset.
Yes.
What are you telling yourself? It all depends upon that. You can turn that situation around. It's not gonna happen overnight. I'm not gonna tell you gonna happen overnight like an Amazon package coming overnight to your door.
Right. Right.
It don't happen like that. You got to put in the work. And you have to be consistent with what you're doing. You got to be diligent with what you're doing. You got to take inspired action every single day. That is what you have to do in order for you to see changes happen in your life. That is what you have to do. You got to stop telling yourself, I don't have money. Right. If you keep telling yourself every day you don't have money, what do you think is going to happen?
You won't have money.
You're not going to have any money.
Scarcity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that is coming from a mindset of scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
You got to change the narrative. It's the narrative. And the thing is that many times we don't understand is what we're saying holding us back. Whatever we are saying, that is what is holding us back from moving.
Yes.
Whatever you decide to tell yourself on a daily basis, that is what is either going to keep you where you are or it's going to move you forward. Right. It all depends upon you. It's your life. You can't blame anybody.
No. It
all depends upon how you see things in life. Because however you see it, that is how it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You got to see yourself being valuable, being worthy, and that is how somebody else will see you.
That's right.
You got to learn from your failures. You got to learn to surround yourself with the right kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
People, if you're surrounding yourself with people who gossiping, bringing negative energy every single day to you, tell me exactly what is going to happen to you. You're going to become part of that cycle.
That's right.
You got to take yourself out from that cycle. If you want to see growth, development, you got to take yourself out from that cycle and stop going in that loop. Only you can do it. That's all I can say. Only you can. There's nobody else could do it for you. Only you can do it. We could come here every single week. Mm-hmm. And we could come here and enrich you. It all depends on how you decide to enrich yourself. We're only giving you the tools. But you know what? You got to work the tools. In order for you to see the transformation happening in your life, you got to put the tools to work.
Have to.
You got to get up every morning. You got to show up for yourself. You got to find a modality that is working for you. If it's meditation, if it's prayers, whatever is working for you, you got to fuel up yourself on a daily basis before you start your day. Because remember, you're pouring every day into somebody. People that you meet, you're pouring into them. Are you taking the time to pour into yourself? You've got to step back and pour into yourself. And when the day is finished, you got to detox yourself from the energies that you entangle yourself with on a daily basis.
That's true.
Because some of the energies drain you and it makes you feel so tired. So you got to detox yourself. Each night you got to detox yourself and calm yourself down. If you're going to be write in your journal what you're grateful for that day, for the people that you meet, the energies that you meet. Some may be good, some may not that good, but it's all good because you know what? It's come to serve you a purpose. There is a reason why you met this individual, or is a reason why this situation happened. It's to teach us something.
That's right.
So we got to look at life. We got to change the lens. We got to change the lens how we look at life. And understand that every event and everything that happens in our lives is for a reason. It is for a reason. Right, Lady J? Take us out.
Yes.
Everything you mentioned there is super, super important. And I just want to add, discipline is important.
Yes.
Discipline is important.
Very.
Because to do every single thing, it takes discipline to implement all of that. It takes discipline. And what we would say to the audience, those who will catch us on the replay, for the remaining of April, start to carve out the path you want yourself to become.
Yes.
That
Hmm.
is what that is a little I don't know if we want to call it assignment, but that's our ask of you.
Right.
For the remaining of April 2025, start to write out who do you want to see yourself to be and start walking in that space. Start being that.
Hmm.
If this is it what you want, because you already you think about it mentally, you have the vision, you imagine it. Now you start to write it out. You start to write it out. What do you, and don't think about it from a limited standpoint,
True.
because you might judging your bank account, you might judging where you are.
True.
Be elaborate. Think abundantly. Think
Yes.
abundance.
Mm-hmm.
And just try it. Just try it. Think like that. And write out what is it that you want to be, what is it you're looking for? And start to see it in your mind's eye.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because we all want to live a full life, a life of fulfillment, a life of joy, a life of happiness, and that we can serve others. But to have that, we have to move in a level of alignment.
True.
We have to move in the level of alignment so we can
Yeah.
attain that, we can be that, we can have growth, we can have development, we can evolve, we can walk in our level of excellence. So the remaining of April, write out what you want.
Hmm.
Write it out and empower yourself. Rewrite that narrative of what you experienced that was not pleasant for you. You can, as Will spoke about, and the three of us spoke about earlier, you can rewrite that narrative.
Yes,
Yes.
you can.
Rewrite that narrative and show yourself grace. You're amazing. You're
Yes.
beautiful. Show yourself grace. No matter what anybody else say, show yourself grace and that compassion. Don't
Mhm.
be hard on yourself. You're doing the best you can daily.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace that. Embrace who you are. And keep taking small steps, small increments every day so that you can become better and keep aspiring for what is it that you're going after? What is it your drive? What is it you want to see? And focusing on that level of gratitude. And be so thankful for all the people in your life who's
Yes.
supporting you, who's uplifting you, who's motivating you, who is believing in you when you don't even believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And congratulate yourself for all the bold moves that you're making, that you're pushing past fear. You're pushing past all of that, but you're deciding to take a calculated risk and you're stepping into your greatness. So we want to congratulate you and just take those steps. We hope tonight that it was a great discussion for you and that you have great takeaways that we share in this moment. And when you're feeling down and you feel like you want something to uplift you, subscribe to our channel so you can go in and you can sift through what can I listen to today?
Yes.
And you can just listen to something that can put you in a better mood. Let's say that. And
Yes.
that can inspire you. So continue to subscribe. Thank all of you for continuing to support us and sharing us out. And we do appreciate you because we thank you for taking the time to stop by to listen. We value that. We value that. So we just want to say thank you, thanks to you for taking that time and continue being you and nourish and nurture yourself so you can achieve all the things that you're going after in life. Well, we just want to thank you for pouring into us this evening with everything that you have served us so beautifully well. You always do.
I th- I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
No, you always do. You serve us very well. You give us after we leave this space to think about a lot of things.
Right.
You
I
know
appreciate
that even though our loved ones has gone beyond, but every time we mention their names, we are
Yes.
letting them continue to live.
Absolutely. They're
That's
here.
beautiful. When you talk about happiness, what happiness really is, yes, we can have all the money and every single thing, but when we give a life of service, it's such a beautiful thing that we can do
Yes.
because we are creating happiness for ourselves and for others.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Beautiful, well, beautiful, beautiful,
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Let
We
me
Yes.
love you and we thank you.
let me thank both of you ladies for having me as a guest on this show here. we hadn't planned this show, but it worked out again. Worked out the way it's supposed to. So
True.
I'm here. We did the show, and it's been a fantastic show. Hopefully, the audience got some good things from it, and we'll take and move forward with what we've said and embrace and have a better life. If I like to leave one message for the audience, if you're watching this show, I'm gonna put one message in you. Yes, I can. Now I just put that in your subconscious, so you will remember those words. Yes, I can, and that's it for me.
Right.
I'm capable and I'm willing. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We just wanna thank the audience so much, as Lady J said and Will said. We just want to thank you so much for taking the time and sitting with us, because we value your time. We value your time, and that is why we give you something for your time.
Mhm.
We give you something. We give you the right kind of food for your time. And we hope that when you leave this space, you can share us with someone who that can benefit from this podcast, because it's all about upliftment. It's all about motivating. It's all about helping someone to transform from whatever situation they're going through right now. After they listen to a podcast like this, they will give them some sort of hope
Mhm.
and know that, what, I can take some action and I can get up and I can start moving. Whatever that movement is, it all depends on you, because you've got to see failure as a setup for success.
Mhm.
Many times we see failure as something that is totally bad, but failure, it's nothing that is bad. It's a setup for success. When you're going through failure, look at it as a transition period to something bigger that you're aspiring for. So continue to believe in you, know your self-worth, know your value, because we need to know that. Because many times we're going to hear these noises. These noises are distractions. So you have to have the foundation that you're standing on. It when you hear these noises, these noises does not belong to you. Because many times we hear things, it has nothing to do with us. It has absolutely nothing to do with us. So don't observe those things that have nothing to do with you. You may hear someone say something, it has nothing to do with you. That's the person, that's that person's perception. That's not you. Once you know who you are, it doesn't matter what anyone say about you. It has nothing to do with you. Don't even listen, because it have nothing
Believe
to
in
do with you.
yourself.
Exactly. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. So, we just want to thank you so much and continue to share us out. Don't forget to subscribe to Soul Light and Body, that you will never miss none of this episode. Also, we have our 2 books on Amazon, Your Gut in You and Self-Care is Intentional. You can go purchase yourself a copy, and it's going to help you to understand more about your gut brain axis, what takes place in the body. Self-care intentional is going to help you to understand how you're going to set these healthy boundaries, and so much more is covered in the self-care book. How you could take care of yourself, not only going to a spa, but there's so many other things that you could take care to do to take care of yourself. So go grab yourself these copies on Amazon. It's just to help you. We're doing this to help you. We're being of service, as Will said. We're being of service. And don't forget to check out 246 Bajan Vibes classified ads. There is so much great stuff there. You can go participate, and just, what? Because of 246 Bajan Vibes, that is how we can able to broadcast this to you. They give us this space that we can come to you. So if you can go check out their classified ads and support what they have, it will be so appreciated. And thanks once again, Will, for showing up in this space and bringing value.
Thank
You
you.
bring so much value when you come into these spaces, whether it's on Soul, Light, and Body, enrichment of mind, body, and soul, or whether it's the Reflective Speaker Series. there is so much value comes out from these spaces, you know. And we've got a beautiful masterclass coming up, you know, a beautiful masterclass. When you sign up for this masterclass, you will never be the same when you leave this masterclass. It's for 7 Saturdays. 7 Saturdays. And when you leave, we're going to guarantee you, you will never be the same. Because go ahead, Lady J.
No,
Take
I
the
was
mic.
just gonna say, sorry to interject.
That's fine.
I was just gonna say, because you're
You know,
doing
I love
this
you.
I love you too. You're doing this for you.
Yeah.
Take some time to treat yourself. You're doing this for you because
Yes.
you are special.
Yes.
You are unique. And it's designed in such a way that you will be so fulfilled.
Yes.
You will be inspired. You will be empowered
Yes.
so that you can have everything that you need in that space. So when you continue to step forward in 2025, you've been on a solid foundation that you can move in your excellence. I just love to say that.
Yes. 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 So right, Lady J. So in the coming weeks, we will be rolling out for you to understand more in depth about the masterclass. And you're going to have a link that you can sign up. It's very affordable. You're going to have a link, you're going to sign up, and you're going to come and be a part of this transformational space. You will be a part of that transformational space. Myself and Lady J, we thought this thing well out for you guys. We put in all the work for you.
That's good.
You only got to come and sit and
be
experience the
served.
empowerment and the transformation. You know, we cook the food well for you.
There you go. It's good.
You only gotta come. We had all the spices and everything that you need for this masterclass. You only gotta come and sit, and you're gonna be well fed. You're gonna have materials to take with you that could empower you at the end of the masterclass. You can always go back to these materials. The days that you feel low, the days that you feel down, you can always go back to these materials and empower yourself. So you're gonna have these materials at your side as your tools. We're going to give you tools that is going to help you as an individual to continue to empower yourself. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to put a period, a full stop. Thank you guys so much for joining us this evening. We love you guys. See you guys here next week. Don't forget to subscribe to Soul Light and Body.
That's right.